y'all. Okay, so you're not gonna see my face too much in this video. My head looks a mess. I got all this hair on my head, and you're gonna see a lot of this tissue going back and forth, and I'm gonna be sneezing a lot. I don't know, all of a sudden when I woke up today, I guess I've had allergies or something, and I was sneezing uncontrollably, like, a lot. So I had to went and go and get some allergy medicine from Kroger's. And so I did that, and I came back, and it seemed like it really didn't do too much, but I'm not sneezing as much as I was, so I'm a lot better. Okay, so I'm going to be teaching on this Brother sewing machine, and I'm going to be adding some other sewing machines to these sewing tutorials, but for this set of videos that I'll be adding to the Academy, I want to do a lot of things with sewing. All of the stuff that I did primarily was over pattern making. So I want to do some stuff for sewing to show you some of the basic techniques of sewing. That way you kind of have this knowledge to add to you, so when you make your patterns you'll know a whole lot more. So anywho, the first round of videos are going to be about notches and how do you use your notches to get the most out of sewing your patterns and to get the most out of your sewing so that your garments look better. Your notches are really like the thing that kind of hold your garment together in a certain way, not because the notches themselves do anything, but because using the notches helps kind of keep your pattern alive. Oops, sorry. So, anywho, let's see if you can see this. This is a piece of fabric that I have that I've just cut, so I can show you the first little technique we're going to use for notches. Now these little lines represent notches, and I guess some people might call them alignment marks or whatever. I call them notches. That's how I learned to call them. Usually this is the tool that you use for that. So anywho, so that's that, and I got my fabric scissors out, just cutting these little pieces. But anyway, it makes a hole in your fabric, in your pattern. I'm gonna show you that. So grab this one quickly, and these are what the holes that the notcher makes. And you can buy notchers that make different holes, different size holes, but mainly that's what it does. And so when you're putting the hole on top of your fabric, it makes this little mark, and you're going to take your pen or your pencil or whatever and you draw that little mark on. Now like I said, your notches kind of help you control the fabric so you can get the look that you're trying to get. Now the first thing I'm going to teach you is going to be easing. I'll write that on this little piece of fabric. Easing. So, anywho, what I did to help illustrate this, I had two pieces of fabric that were cut the same length, and what I did, I took about 1/2 inch off of one of them to make it shorter, and then I marked my notches. I put the notch in the same spot starting on one end where I have the two pieces of fabric matching it, and I marked over there. And then what I did, I moved this one over to this side, and then I marked my notches again so that they're even. So basically what you end up having, if you look at it, is notches that don't exactly match with the fabric just laying how it is. So basically what easing is when you have one piece of fabric that's so slightly smaller than the other, but you need them both to fit the same. And so if I match my notches, you'll see that the fabric doesn't lay flat because I have all this ease. And when you sew it together, it's called easing. Now, what you would do is take, where is it? And there's a couple ways you can ease stuff, and we'll go over the different ways. But essentially, you'll take your pen, and this is going to be the edge we're going to sew on. So you take your pen, make sure your notches are matching, and I stick the pen right in where the notch is. in line with the notch. Okay. You see that? And then I'm going to slide the fabric down so that the next set of notches match. And then I'll pin again. Alright, now, you're going to say, how are we going to sew all this? Isn't it going to sew crazy? Well, what we're going to do, when you sew something that needs to be eased, you're going to put the bigger fabric on the bottom, and the the feed dogs on the sewing machine are going to pull the fabric as you're sewing a little quicker on the bottom, and we're going to hold the fabric on the top so that the feed dogs are kind of excited and they're pulling that part. It is going to kind of gradually ease that fabric on in there, and then it'll be flat. Now, when you finish it, no, it won't be perfectly flat. It will have a little bubbling in there, but that's how you know you eased it. If you have any folds where it looks like you actually creased the fabric underneath, or like you were doing gathers, then you didn't ease it correctly. Or what do you call it? I don't know, you didn't ease it slightly enough, or maybe you had too much in there, too much ease. And I know, let me turn the sewing machine on. Oops, it's not plugged up. Let me get my plug. Okie dokie. Now it's plugged up. So, I'm going to go ahead and sew it. And then I'll show you while I'm doing it, what I'm doing. So basically, I'm going to hold the top like this. I'm going to set it down. And this is a seam allowance. I'm just going to sew a 1/2 inch seam allowance on it. Go into the fabric just a little bit, almost to where that notch is. And put the needle down in it. And then I'm going to hold the fabric like that. Back stitch. And then forward stitch. I'm going to hold the fabric up like this, so that while I'm sewing, the feed dots are going to pull it a little bit. And it's going to slowly start to ease that bottom piece on in there. Okay, and it's almost like I almost didn't make it, but I did. And that was like, it was quite a bit of ease to be easing into that amount of fabric. So I did a 1/2 inch in, how much space? A 1/2 inch in, let's see, oh, and 4 inches. Hey, I made that 4 inches without trying. That's interesting. So the front piece between the notches was 4 inches, and the back piece was about 4.5 inches between the notches. But I made it work, and if you can see this, on the front it should be flat, and then on the back you can see where it was eased in. And when you open it, kind of looks like this. Now, of course, you can go through and, let's say this is on your garment or whatever. You can go back here and you can press it on the seam and really steam it, and that'll help it kind of relax some and not look so funny. And then you can open it and you can probably press the seam that way towards the flat piece of fabric, and it'll look a little bit better. Okay, so that's it, and that is easing. So I'm going to teach you some of the other techniques. I'm going to read these off to you real quick so you'll know kind of what I'm thinking about. So I'm going to teach you that, and gathers, pleating, about darts and pin tucks, and then facings, and then seam allowances, also using these markings on your plate guard, and a couple of other things. So anyway, that's about it. If you want to see more, head on over to the academy and just look at some more videos. Bye bye.